The alarm on Clara's phone buzzed at 4:30 a.m. She reached for it quickly, not wanting to wake the old woman sleeping on the bench next to her. The park was still dark, but Clara knew she had to move. The security guards would start their rounds soon. Clara Jennings gathered her few belongings into her worn backpack. 27 years old, and this was her life now. A park bench in São Paulo, Brazil, far from everything she once knew. 3 months ago, she had a different life. She was in Atlanta, engaged to Marcus, with a full scholarship to Juilliard. She was going to be a concert pianist. She had dreams. She had a future. Then Marcus took all her money. He emptied their joint account and ran off with her best friend. The scholarship committee found out about her financial problems and revoked her funding. Everything fell apart in one terrible week. Clara's younger brother Jalen was only 16. Their mother had died when he was 10, and Clara had raised him since then. When the money disappeared, she couldn't take care of him anymore. Their aunt stepped in, but Clara knew she had to get back on her feet fast. That's how she ended up in São Paulo. A friend from college lived here and said she could help Clara find work. But when Clara arrived, the friend was gone. Moved to Rio with her boyfriend, Clara was stuck with no money and nowhere to go. She found work cleaning offices at night. The pay was small, but it was something. During the day, she worked at a cafe near the business district. Between both jobs, she made enough to pay for a tiny room in a boarding house and send a little money back to Jalen. But this week had been different. The boarding house owner raised the rent. Clara couldn't afford it anymore. So she started. Sleeping in the park, Clara walked to the cafe, her whole body tired. Her feet hurt from standing all night cleaning those endless hallways, but she couldn't stop. Jalen needed her. The cafe was busy with the morning rush. Men inexpensive, suits buying coffee before work. Clara served them with a smile even though she felt invisible. They looked through her, not at her. "1 espresso, no sugar," said a customer without looking up from his phone. Clara made the coffee and set it down. The man still didn't look at her. This was normal. She was used to it. At noon, her shift ended. Clara had 4 hours before she needed to start her night job. Usually she would try to sleep in the boarding house, but now she had nowhere to go. She walked to the small park between the tall office buildings. There was a bench under a tree where she could rest without being bothered. Clara sat down and closed her eyes. The sounds of the city faded as exhaustion took over. She thought about Jalen. Her aunt was good to him, but Clara knew he missed her. She missed him too. She missed everything about her old life. Clara thought about her piano. She used to play for hours every day. Now her fingers were rough from cleaning supplies. She wondered if she could still play Chopin the way she used to. Sleep came slowly. Clara curled up on the bench, using her backpack as a pillow. When she woke up, something was different. The sun was setting, which meant she had slept longer than planned. But that wasn't what caught her attention. In her arms was a bouquet of flowers, white gardenias and bright yellow sunflowers. Beautiful, expensive flowers that hadn't been there when she fell asleep. Clara sat up quickly, looking around. The park was mostly empty. A few people walked by on their way home from work. No one was paying attention to her. She looked at the flowers again. They were fresh, like someone had just bought them. Who would leave flowers for a homeless woman? Sleeping on a bench, excuse me. Clara turned around. A man was standing behind the bench. He was tall, wearing an expensive dark suit. His tie was loosened, and his hair looked like he had been running his hands through it. He was handsome, but his eyes looked tired. "Are these your flowers?" Clara asked, holding up the bouquet. The man smiled slightly. It was the first real smile Clara had seen in months. "They're for you," he said simply. Clara stared at him. "For me? Why? I've seen you here before. You looked like you needed something beautiful in your day." Clara felt suspicious. Men didn't just give flowers to strange women for no reason. Especially not black women sleeping on benches. Especially not in a foreign country where she already felt out of place. "I don't need your pity," Clara said, standing up. "It's not pity," the man replied. "I'm Lucas." He didn't offer his last name. He didn't try to shake her hand. He just stood there waiting. Clara looked at him more carefully. His suit was perfectly tailored. His watch looked like it cost more than she made in a year. What was a man like this doing in a small park talking? To her? Clara, she said finally. Clara. Lucas repeated her name like he was testing how it sounded. Are you from here? Atlanta, Clara said. She didn't know why she was telling him this. That's far from home. Something in his voice made Clara look at his face again. He didn't sound like he was making conversation. He sounded like he understood what it meant to be far from home. I have to go, Clara said. I'll be late for work. She started to walk away, still carrying the flowers. Clara, she turned back. Will you be here tomorrow? Lucas asked. Clara didn't answer right away. She studied his face, trying to figure out what he wanted from her, but she couldn't read him. Maybe, she said finally. Lucas nodded. I hope so. Clara walked away, confused and unsettled. She caught the bus to her night job, still holding the flowers. Other passengers stared at her. A cleaning woman with expensive flowers was unusual. At the office building, Clara changed into her uniform and got her cleaning supplies. But she couldn't stop thinking about Lucas. There was something about the way he looked at her. Not like the cafe customers who saw through her. He looked at her like she was real. Clara started cleaning on the 20th floor. As she worked, she thought about the flowers. Gardenias were her mother's favorite. How could Lucas have known that? The night passed slowly. Clara cleaned office after office, emptying trash cans and wiping down desks. Her hands were rough and red from the chemicals, but she kept working. Around 3 a.m., she took a break. She sat in an empty conference room and looked out at the city lights. São Paulo never slept. Even now there were people in the streets, cars on the highways. Clara thought about Jalen. He would be getting ready for school in Atlanta. Did he think about her? Did he understand why she had to leave? She pulled out her phone and sent him a text. Miss you, love you. Working hard to come home soon. He texted back immediately. Miss you too. Aunt Linda is nice, but she's not you. Clara felt tears in her eyes. She had to get back to Atlanta. She had to bring Jalen home. At 6 a.m., Clara finished her shift. She was exhausted, but she had to go back to the cafe for the morning rush, no time to sleep. She took the bus back to the business district. The sun was coming up, and the city was waking up. Clara wondered if Lucas would be in the park again. She told herself it didn't matter. She couldn't trust him. Men like Lucas didn't care about women like her unless they wanted something, but when she got to the park, she found herself looking for him. He wasn't there, just the empty bench under the tree. Clara felt disappointed, which made her angry with herself. What had she expected? She sat down on the bench and opened her backpack. Inside was a piece of bread she had saved from yesterday. Not much of a breakfast, but it was something. As she ate, she noticed something on the bench next to her. A book, The Alchemist by Paulo Coelho. It hadn't been there yesterday. Clara picked up the book and opened it. On the first page, someone had written in neat handwriting. For Clara, who is braver than she knows, her hands were shaking as she read the words again. Lucas had been here. He had left this for her. Clara looked around the park, but he was nowhere to be seen. She put the book in her backpack and walked to the cafe. The morning rush was busy. As always, Clara made coffee and served customers, but her mind was somewhere else. She kept thinking about the book, about Lucas, about the flowers that were now wilting in her backpack. During her lunch break, she sat in the park again and opened the book. She hadn't read anything for pleasure in months. She had been too tired, too worried about money and Jalen and surviving each day. But as she read, she forgot about everything else. The story pulled her in. It was about a boy who left everything behind to follow his dreams. It was about believing in yourself even when the world told you to give up. Clara read for an hour, completely lost in the story. When she looked up, Lucas was sitting on the other end of the bench. You came back, he said. So did you, Clara replied. They sat in silence for a moment. Clara wasn't sure what to say. She had never been in a situation like this before. Thank you for the book, she said finally. Do you like it? I'm only on chapter 3, but yes, it's about following your dreams, Lucas said. Even when it's hard. Clara looked at him sharply. What do you know about my dreams? Lucas turned to face her. I know you're not from here. I know you're working 2 jobs and sleeping in the park. I know you're trying to send money to someone back home. And I know you're stronger than most people I've met." Clara felt exposed. How did he know so much about her? "Have you been watching?" "Me?" she asked. "Yes," Lucas said simply. "I've been coming to this park for months. I work in that building." He pointed to one of the tall office towers. "I eat lunch here sometimes. I noticed you a few weeks ago." "Why?" Lucas was quiet for a long moment. "Because you looked like I felt," he said finally. "What do you mean?" "Alone, even in a city full of people." Clara studied his face. He was rich, successful, handsome. How could he be alone? "You don't look alone," she said. Lucas laughed, but it wasn't a happy sound. "Money doesn't cure loneliness, Clara." Something in his voice made Clara believe him. She had been so focused on her own problems that she hadn't considered that other people might be struggling too. "What do you do in that building?" Clara asked. "I run a company, technology, very boring." Clara doubted it was boring. The way he said it, the expensive suit, the fact that he could afford to buy flowers for strangers, Lucas was probably very important. "And you're from São Paulo?" Clara asked. "Born here, but I've lived in New York, London, Tokyo. My father wanted me to see the world before taking over the business." "Is that what you wanted?" Lucas looked surprised by the question. "No one's ever asked me that before." "Well, I'm asking now." Lucas was quiet for a long time. Clara thought he wasn't going to answer. "I wanted to be a teacher," he said finally. "History. I loved learning about different cultures, different ways of life, but my father said that was a waste of my education." "What happened to your father?" "He died 2 years ago. Heart attack. Left me the company and a note saying he was proud of me." Clara heard the pain in his voice. "But you're not proud of yourself." Lucas looked at her with surprise. "How do you know that?" "Because I know what it's like to live someone else's dream instead of your own." They sat in comfortable silence. Clara felt something she hadn't felt in months, a connection with another person, someone who understood what it meant to lose the life you thought you were going to have. "I have to go," Clara said, looking at her phone. "My shift starts soon." "Will you be here tomorrow?" Lucas asked. Clara hesitated. She was attracted to Lucas, but she was also scared. She had trusted Marcus, and look how that ended. She couldn't afford to make another mistake. "I don't know," she said honestly. Lucas nodded. "I understand, but I'll be here, in case you change your mind." Clara walked away, but this time she looked back. Lucas was still sitting on the bench, watching her go. That night at work, Clara couldn't concentrate. She kept thinking about their conversation. Lucas seemed genuine, but she had been wrong about men before. She thought about Marcus and how charming he had been at first, how he had made her feel special, chosen, how he had promised to support her dreams and then destroyed them. But Lucas felt different. He didn't make grand promises or try to impress her. He just listened. He saw her as a person, not a project to fix or a prize to win. Clara finished her shift and took the early morning bus back to the park. She told herself she wasn't going there to see Lucas. She just needed somewhere to rest before the cafe opened. But when she got to the bench, her heart was beating faster. Lucas wasn't there. Clara felt disappointed and relieved at the same time. She sat down and opened The Alchemist again. As she read, she thought about the main character's journey. He left everything familiar to chase something uncertain. It was terrifying and brave at the same time. Clara was so absorbed in the book that she didn't notice Lucas approaching until he was standing in front of her. "Good morning," he said softly. Clara looked up. Lucas was holding 2 cups of coffee and a small paper bag. "I brought breakfast," he said. "I hope you don't mind." Clara wanted to say no. She wanted to protect herself. But she was hungry, and the coffee smelled amazing. "Thank you," she said. Lucas sat down next to her and handed her a cup. The coffee was perfect, strong but not bitter, with just a touch of cream. "How did you know how I like my coffee?" Clara asked. Lucas smiled. "I may have asked your manager at the cafe." Clara stared at him. "You went to the cafe?" "Yesterday afternoon. I ordered coffee and mentioned that I had seen one of the workers reading in the park. The manager told me you like your coffee with a little cream and no sugar." Clara didn't know whether to be flattered or alarmed. You're very thorough. I wanted to get it right. Lucas opened the paper bag and pulled out 2 pastries. They looked expensive, from a fancy bakery. You don't have to take care of me, Clara said. I know I don't have to. I want to. Clara took a pastry and bit into it. It was delicious, flaky and buttery with sweet filling. She hadn't tasted anything so good in months. Why? She asked. Why do you want to take care of me? Lucas set down his coffee and looked at her seriously. Because in 3 months of eating lunch in this park, you're the first person who's made me feel less alone. Clara felt something shift in her chest. The walls she had built around her heart cracked just a little. I don't even know your last name, she said. Varela. Lucas Varela. The name sounded familiar, but Clara couldn't place it. And I don't know why you're really in Sao Paulo, Lucas continued, or what you're running from. But I know you're here and I'm here, and maybe that's enough for now. Clara looked into his eyes. They were dark brown, almost black, with gold flecks. There was kindness there, but also something deeper, a loneliness that matched her own. I'm not running from anything, Clara said. I'm running to something. I'm trying to get my life back. Tell me, Lucas said simply. And for the first time since arriving in Sao Paulo, Clara did. She told him about Marcus and the stolen money, about losing her scholarship to Juilliard, about Jalen and having to leave him behind, about working 2 jobs and sleeping in the park and feeling invisible every single day. Lucas listened without interrupting. He didn't offer solutions or empty comfort. He just listened. When Clara finished talking, she felt exhausted but also lighter. She hadn't realized how much she needed to tell someone her story. Thank you, Lucas said quietly. For what? For trusting me with the truth. Clara looked at her phone. She had 15 minutes before her cafe shift started. I have to go, she said, standing up. Clara. Lucas stood up too. I want to help you. I don't need help, Clara said. Automatically. Everyone needs help sometimes. There's no shame in it. Clara shook her head. I can't owe anyone anything. I learned that lesson already. You wouldn't owe me anything. I just want to help because... Because what? Lucas looked uncomfortable. Because I care about you. Clara felt her heart speed up. You don't even know me. I know enough. Clara wanted to believe him. She wanted to trust that someone could care about her without wanting something in return, but she was too scared. I really have to go, she said. Lucas nodded. Will you think about it? About letting me help? Clara didn't answer. She walked away, leaving Lucas standing by the bench. At the cafe, Clara tried to focus on work, but her mind kept drifting to Lucas. There was something about him that felt different from any man she had ever met. He didn't try to fix her or save her. He just wanted to be with her. But Clara had been hurt before. She couldn't afford to trust the wrong person again. During her break, she called Jalen. Hey, big sister, he said when he answered. Hey, baby. How are you? I'm okay. Aunt Linda is taking me to get new school clothes this weekend. Clara felt a pang of guilt. She should be the one taking Jalen shopping. That's good. Are you being good for her? Yeah, but Clara... What is it? When are you coming home? Clara felt tears in her eyes. Soon, baby. I'm working as hard as I can. I know, I just miss you. I miss you too, more than you know. After they hung up, Clara sat in the back room of the cafe and cried. She was so tired of being strong all the time, so tired of pretending everything was going to be okay. That night at her cleaning job, Clara worked mechanically. Her body went through the motions while her mind wandered. She thought about Lucas's offer to help. What kind of help could he provide? And what would he want in return? Clara had learned not to trust men who offered too much too soon, but something about Lucas felt genuine. The way he looked at her, the way he listened, the way he seemed to understand her loneliness. Maybe she was being too careful. Maybe not everyone was like Marcus. At 5 a.m., Clara finished her shift. Instead of going straight to the park, she walked around the city streets as the sun came up. She needed to think. Sao Paulo was beautiful, in the early morning light. The city was waking up, but it was still quiet. Clara found herself walking toward the financial district where Lucas worked. She stood across the street from his building and looked up. Somewhere in those floors was Lucas's office. his other life, the life where he was important and powerful and rich. What was she doing? Clara was a cleaning woman with no money and no prospects. Lucas was a CEO with everything. They came from different worlds, but when they sat together on that bench, none of that seemed to matter. Clara made a decision. She walked to the park. Lucas was already there, sitting on their bench with coffee and pastries. "You came," he said, smiling. "I came." Clara agreed. She sat down next to him and accepted the coffee he offered. "I've been thinking about what you said," Clara began. "About helping me." Lucas waited for her to continue. "What kind of help are you talking about?" "Whatever you need. A place to stay. Help finding better work. Money to send home to your brother." Clara felt overwhelmed. "That's too much. I can't accept that." "Why not?" "Because I don't have anything to give you in return." Lucas turned to face her. "Clara, I'm not asking for anything in return. I want to help because I care about you. No strings attached." Clara studied his face, looking for signs of deception, but all she saw was sincerity. "I need to think about it," Clara said. "Of course. Take all the time you need." They sat in comfortable silence, drinking coffee and watching the city wake up around them. "Can I ask you something?" Clara said. "Anything." "What's your company called?" Lucas hesitated. "Varela Technologies." Clara nearly choked on her coffee. Varela Technologies. The Varela Technologies. Even Clara, who had been in Brazil for only 3 months, had heard of Varela Technologies. It was one of the biggest companies in the country, which meant Lucas wasn't just rich. He was one of the most powerful men in Brazil. "You're that Lucas Varela," Clara said. "I'm just Lucas," he said quietly. "The man who brings you coffee in the park." Clara felt overwhelmed. The gap between their worlds was even bigger than she had imagined. "I have to go," she said, standing up abruptly. "Clara, wait." But Clara was already walking away. She couldn't do this. She couldn't get involved with someone so far above her station. It would only end in heartbreak. Lucas called her name, but Clara didn't turn around. She had to protect herself. She had to be smart. But as she walked to the cafe, Clara realized something that scared her even more than Lucas's wealth and power. She was already falling for him. And that was the most dangerous thing of all. For 3 days, Clara avoided the park. She took a different route to the cafe, even though it meant walking an extra 20 minutes. She couldn't face Lucas again. Not after learning who he really was, Lucas Varela, the heir to a technology empire. A man whose picture appeared in business magazines. A man who could buy her entire life with his pocket change. What had she been thinking? That they could actually have something real together? On the 4th day, Clara was serving coffee at the cafe when she noticed a commotion outside. Photographers were gathering on the sidewalk. Clara wondered what celebrity was visiting the neighborhood. Then she saw him. Lucas walked into the cafe wearing a simple white button-down shirt and dark jeans. No expensive suit this time, but Clara could still see the quality in everything he wore. The photographers followed him to the door, but Lucas gestured for them to stay outside. They listened to him. Of course they did. He was Lucas Varela. Clara's hands shook as she pretended to clean the espresso machine. Maybe he wouldn't notice her. Maybe he was just here for coffee. "Good morning, Clara." She looked up. Lucas was standing at the counter, smiling at her like nothing had changed. "What can I get you?" Clara asked formally. Lucas's smile faded slightly. "Can we talk?" "I'm working. Please. Just for a minute." Clara's manager, Senor Rodriguez, appeared beside her. "Is everything okay here?" "Everything's fine," Lucas said smoothly. "I was hoping I could speak with Clara for just a moment." Senor Rodriguez looked confused. He clearly recognized Lucas, but couldn't understand why such an important man would want to talk to one of his employees. "Clara, take your break," Senor Rodriguez said quietly. Clara wanted to refuse, but she couldn't make a scene at work. She untied her apron and followed Lucas to a corner table. "You've been avoiding me," Lucas said. "I've been working." "Clara, look at me." She met his eyes reluctantly. "I'm still the same person who brought you coffee in the park," Lucas said. "Nothing has changed," Clara almost laughed. Everything has changed. You're Lucas Varela. Do you know what that means? It means I have money and a company and people take my picture sometimes. It doesn't change who I am inside. It changes everything, Clara said. We're from different worlds, Lucas. I clean offices. You own buildings. I sleep on park benches. You probably have 5 houses. 6, Lucas said quietly. But I don't care about any of that. Well, I do. Do you see those photographers outside? They followed you here because you're news. What do you think they'd say if they knew you were talking to the cleaning lady? Lucas leaned forward. I don't care what they say. But I do. Clara stood up. I have to get back to work. Lucas caught her hand gently. Clara, please, don't let my money scare you away from something that could be real. Clara looked down at their joined hands. His were soft and manicured. Hers were rough and stained from cleaning chemicals. This isn't real, she said, pulling her hand away. This is a rich man playing with a poor woman, and I've seen how that story ends. Clara walked back to the counter, leaving Lucas sitting alone. When she looked up a few minutes later, he was gone. The photographers had followed him down the street. That afternoon, Clara couldn't stop thinking about the hurt in Lucas's eyes when she walked away. Maybe she had been too harsh, but she was protecting herself. She had to be smart. During her break, she called Jalen. Hey, Clara, he said. You sound sad. I'm just tired, baby. Are you eating enough? Aunt Linda says you're probably not eating. Enough? Clara smiled despite herself. I'm eating. How's school? It's okay, but Clara, I need to tell you something. What is it? Aunt Linda got a letter from a lawyer about custody. Clara's blood went cold. What kind of letter? She wouldn't let me read it, but I heard her on the phone. Someone wants to take me away from her. Who? I don't know. But Aunt Linda was crying. She said she might not be able to keep me if you don't come back soon. Clara felt panic rising in her chest. Jalen, listen to me. Nobody is going to take you anywhere. I'm going to figure this out. When are you coming home? Soon. I promise. After. They hung up. Clara sat in the back room of the cafe and tried not to cry. She needed money for a lawyer. She needed to get home to Jalen. But with her 2 jobs, it would take months to save enough for a plane ticket, let alone legal fees. That night at her cleaning job, Clara worked like a machine. She scrubbed floors and emptied trash cans and tried not to think about Jalen or lawyers or custody battles. But she couldn't stop thinking about Lucas's offer to help. What if she swallowed her pride and accepted? What if she let him help her get home to Jalen? No, she couldn't do that. She couldn't become one of those women who used men for money. She had to find another way. At 3 a.m., Clara was cleaning the executive floor of a downtown office building when she heard voices in the hallway. She quickly pushed her cart into a supply closet and waited. 2 men walked past, talking in low voices. The Varela deal has to go through this week, one of them said. If Lucas changes his mind about the merger, we lose everything. He won't change his mind. He's too smart for that. I hope you're right, because if this deal falls apart, we're all finished. Clara waited until they were gone before coming out of the closet. She had no idea what deal they were talking about, but it sounded important and stressful. Maybe Lucas's life wasn't as perfect as she had imagined. The next morning, Clara decided to take her usual route to the cafe. She told herself it wasn't because she hoped to see Lucas. She was just tired of walking the long way. But when she got to the park, her heart sank. The bench was empty. Clara sat down and opened The Alchemist. She had been reading it every day, and she was almost finished. The story was about following your dreams, even when the path was uncertain, even when you were scared. Clara thought about her own dreams, playing concerts at Carnegie Hall, Jalen graduating from college, having a family of her own someday. All of those dreams seemed impossible now. Good morning. Clara looked up. Lucas was standing in front of the bench, holding 2 cups of coffee. You came back, she said. I never stopped coming. You were the one who stopped. Lucas sat down next to her and offered her a cup. Clara hesitated, then took it. I'm sorry, she said quietly, for what I said yesterday. You don't need to apologize for being honest. They sat in silence for a moment. Lucas, can I ask you something? Anything. Are you happy? With your life, I mean. Lucas considered the question. I used to think I was. I had everything I was supposed to want: success, money, respect. But then I started eating lunch in this park and I realized I felt empty inside. Why this park? It's quiet, away from all the meetings and phone calls, and people who want things from me. I can think here. Clara understood. The park was her refuge too. What do you think about? She asked. Lately? You. Clara felt her cheeks warm. Lucas. I know you think we're too different, and maybe you're right, but Clara, I've never felt about anyone the way I feel about you. How do you feel about me? Lucas turned to face her fully. Like I've been sleepwalking my whole life, and you woke me up. Clara's heart was beating so fast she was sure Lucas could hear it. I'm scared, she whispered. Of me? Of this. Of caring about someone who could disappear from my life at any moment. Lucas reached for her hand. This time Clara didn't pull away. I'm not going anywhere, he said. You say that now. But what happens when your family finds out about me? When your board of directors sees you with a cleaning woman? When the newspapers start writing stories? I don't care about any of that. But I do. Lucas, I can't afford to lose my jobs. I can't afford to have my face in the papers. I'm here, on a work visa. If there's any scandal, any trouble, they could send me back to Atlanta. Would that be so bad? Going home? Clara thought about Jalen and the custody battle. Not if I could stay, but if they deport me, I might not be able to come back, and Jalen needs me. Lucas squeezed her hand. Tell me about Jalen. Clara found herself talking about her brother. How smart he was, how funny, how scared she was that she was letting him down. He sounds wonderful, Lucas said when she finished. He is. He's the best person I know. He learned that from you. Clara shook her head. I left him, Lucas. What kind of sister abandons her little brother? The kind who's trying to build a better life for both of you. Clara felt tears in her eyes. I got a call yesterday. Someone's trying to take him away from my aunt. I need to get home, but I don't have the money. Lucas was quiet for a long moment. Let me help you, he said finally. Lucas, no. Clara, I can have you on a plane to Atlanta tonight. I can pay for the best lawyers. I can make sure Jalen stays with your family. And what would you want in return? Lucas looked hurt. Nothing. I would want nothing in return. Nobody gives away that much money for nothing. I would, for you. Clara wanted to believe him. She wanted to trust that someone could care about her that much. But it was too risky. I can't, she said. Lucas nodded slowly. I understand. But Clara could see in his eyes that he was disappointed. I should go, Clara said, standing up. Clara, wait. What if there was a way for me to help that didn't make you feel obligated to me? What do you mean? What if you worked for me? A real job with a real salary. Enough to save money for plane tickets and lawyers. Clara stared at him. What kind of job? I need a personal assistant, someone to help with my schedule, answer phones, organize meetings. It's honest work. Lucas, I don't have experience with that kind of work. I'll teach you, Clara. You're smart and capable. You could learn anything. Clara felt tempted. A job with Lucas would mean regular hours, better pay, and a chance to see him every day. But it would also mean being closer to his world, meeting his colleagues, dealing with his business associates, people who would look at her and wonder what she was doing there. I need to think about it, Clara said. Of course. But Clara, the offer is real. This isn't charity. I really do need help, and I trust you. Clara walked away, but this time she looked back. Lucas was sitting on the bench watching her go with an expression she couldn't read. At the cafe, Clara tried to focus on work, but customers kept staring at her strangely. During her break, she overheard two women talking at a corner table. Did you see the picture in the newspaper this morning? One of them said. Which picture? Lucas. Varela with some woman at a cafe. They looked very cozy. Clara's stomach dropped. She quickly went to the newsstand next door and bought a copy of the business section. There, on page 3, was a photo of her and Lucas sitting at the cafe table. The headline read, Varela Heirs Mystery Woman. The article was short but devastating. It speculated about who Clara was and why Lucas was interested in her. It mentioned that she worked at the cafe and suggested that Lucas might be slumming with working-class women. Clara felt sick. This was exactly what she had been afraid of. When she got back to the cafe, Señor Rodriguez was waiting for her. "Clara, we need to talk," he said. They went to his small office behind the kitchen. "I saw the newspaper," Señor Rodriguez said. "Is it true? Are you involved with Lucas Varela?" "It's not what it looks like," Clara said. "Clara, I like you. You're a good worker. But I can't have photographers camping outside my cafe every day. It's bad for business." Clara felt her world falling apart. "Are you firing me?" Señor Rodriguez looked uncomfortable. "I'm sorry, but yes." Clara walked out of the cafe in a daze. She had lost one of her jobs because of one newspaper photo. What would happen when more pictures appeared? That night, Clara went to her cleaning job as usual. But when she arrived, her supervisor was waiting for her. "Clara, I'm sorry, but we're going to have to let you go," he said. "Why? Orders from upstairs. They don't want any drama in the building." Clara couldn't believe it. In one day, she had lost both of her jobs. She walked to the park and sat on the bench, trying not to panic. She had no income now, no way to pay for food or a place to sleep, no way to send money to Jalen, and it was all because of one photograph. Clara pulled out her phone and stared at Lucas's number. He had given it to her the day before, in case she wanted to talk about the job offer. She could call him, she could accept his help, but that would mean admitting that she couldn't take care of herself. Instead, Clara put her phone away and lay down on the bench. She would figure something out. She always did. But for the first time since arriving in São Paulo, Clara wasn't sure she believed that anymore. The next morning, Clara woke up to find Lucas sitting on the other end of the bench. "I heard about your jobs," he said quietly. "Word travels fast in your world. Clara, I'm sorry, I never meant for this to happen. But it did happen. This is what I was trying to tell you. Your life and my life don't mix." Lucas moved closer to hurt us, then change your life. "Come work for me. So I can be your kept woman? So people can say you're paying me to sleep with you? Is that what you think this is about?" Clara looked at him. Lucas looked tired, like he hadn't slept all night. "I don't know what to think anymore," she said. Lucas pulled out his phone and showed her the screen. It was a news article with the headline, "Varela Technologies stock drops after CEO's love scandal." "You see this?" Lucas said. "This is costing me millions of dollars. My board is furious. My investors are nervous, but I don't care." "You should care. This is your life." "No, Clara, this is my job. You are my life." Clara felt her resolve weakening. "Lucas, I love you," he said simply. The words hung in the air between them. Clara felt like she couldn't breathe. "You don't even know me," she whispered. "I know you're brave and kind and stronger than anyone I've ever met. I know you sacrificed everything for your brother. I know you make me want to be a better man." Clara felt tears streaming down her face. "I love you too." Lucas reached for her, and this time Clara didn't resist. She let him pull her into his arms, let him hold her while she cried. "What are we going to do?" Clara asked against his chest. "We're going to figure it out together," Lucas said. "If you'll let me." Clara pulled back to look at him. "The job offer, is it still available?" "Yes." "And you'll really pay me enough to save money for Atlanta? I'll pay you twice what your other jobs paid, combined." Clara took a deep breath. "Okay. Okay. I'll work for you. But Lucas, this has to be real." "I have to earn my salary. I won't be your charity case." Lucas smiled. "You'll earn every penny. I promise." They walked out of the park together, hand in hand. Clara knew people were staring, but for the first time she didn't care. Maybe Lucas was right. Maybe love was worth fighting for, even when the whole world was against you. But as they walked toward Lucas's building, Clara couldn't shake the feeling that their real challenges were just beginning. The photographers were waiting outside Varela Technologies. They started snapping pictures the moment they saw Lucas and Clara approaching. "Mr. Varela, who is your girlfriend? Is it true you're dating your employee? What does your family think about the relationship?" Lucas ignored the questions and guided Clara through the crowd. In the elevator, Clara felt overwhelmed. "Are you sure about this?" she asked. Lucas squeezed her hand. "I've never been more sure of anything in my life." The elevator opened onto the executive floor. Clara stepped out into a world of marble and glass and expensive art. Everyone they passed stared at her. This was Lucas's world. And now, somehow, it was hers too. But Clara couldn't help wondering, how long before this world chewed her up and spit her out? Clara's first day at Varela Technologies was like stepping into another universe. Lucas's assistant, Marina, showed her to a desk outside his office. The desk was bigger than Clara's entire room at the boarding house. "Mr. Varela wants you to start by organizing his calendar," Marina said coldly. "He has 3 meetings this morning." Clara could tell Marina didn't like her. She had probably seen the newspaper photos. "Thank you," Clara said politely. Marina walked away without another word. Clara sat at the desk and tried to figure out the computer system. Everything was in Portuguese, which she was still learning. After an hour, she had managed to open Lucas's calendar, but she couldn't understand half of the appointments. "How's it going?" Lucas appeared beside her desk. "It's challenging," Clara admitted. Lucas smiled. "You'll figure it out. You're smart." "Mr. Varela?" Marina appeared at Clara's other side. "Your 10 a.m. appointment is here." "Thank you, Marina." "Clara, could you join us? You'll need to learn about these meetings." Clara followed Lucas into his office. It was enormous, with floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking the city. A man in an expensive suit was waiting for them. "Roberto, I'd like you to meet Clara Jennings." "My new assistant," Lucas said. Roberto looked Clara up and down with obvious disapproval. "I see." The meeting was about a merger with another company. Clara tried to take notes, but the men spoke fast and used business terms she didn't understand. Roberto kept glancing at her like she didn't belong there. After Roberto left, Lucas closed the door. "I'm sorry about that," he said. "Roberto can be difficult. He thinks I'm your girlfriend pretending to be your assistant. Does it matter what he thinks?" Clara sighed. "Lucas, everyone here knows who I am. They've all seen the newspaper photos. They think you hired me because we're sleeping together. We're not sleeping together. Yet." The word hung in the air between them. Clara felt her cheeks burn. "Clara," Lucas said softly, "I should get back to work." The rest of the day was difficult. Clara made mistakes with the phone system. She accidentally deleted an important email. She spilled coffee on some contracts. By 5 p.m. she was exhausted and discouraged. "Ready to go home?" Lucas asked. "I don't have a home, remember?" Lucas looked guilty. "Clara, I found you an apartment. It's small, but it's clean and safe." "I can't afford an apartment. It's part of your employment package, housing allowance." Clara stared at him. "Lucas, no one gets housing allowances for assistant jobs." "You do." Clara wanted to argue, but she was too tired. She needed a place to sleep that wasn't a park bench. The apartment Lucas found was in a nice neighborhood, much better than anywhere Clara could afford on her own. It was furnished and had a real kitchen and a bed with clean sheets. "Thank you," Clara said quietly. "You don't have to thank me." "Yes, I do, Lucas. I know this isn't a normal job arrangement. Nothing about us is normal." Clara looked around the apartment. It was beautiful, but it also made her feel more dependent on Lucas. What would happen if they broke up? Where would she live then? "I should call Jalen," Clara said. "Of course, I'll give you some privacy." Clara called her brother while Lucas waited in the kitchen. "Clara, you sound different, happy." "I got a new job, baby, a better one. That's great." "Does this mean you're coming home soon?" Clara's heart sank. She had been so caught up in her feelings for Lucas that she had almost forgotten why she came to Brazil in the first place. "I'm working on it." "How are things with Aunt Linda?" "She's worried." The lawyer called again. "He says we need to go to court next month." "What lawyer, Jalen? Who's trying to take you away?" "Some cousin of Dad's. I barely remember him, but he says he has more rights than Aunt Linda because he's blood. Family." Clara felt sick. Their father had disappeared when Jalen was a baby. Clara had never even met this cousin. "Don't worry, baby, I'll figure this out." "You always say that, because it's always true. I love you." "Love you too." After they hung up, Clara sat on the couch and tried not to cry. Lucas appeared with 2 cups of tea. "Bad news?" he asked gently. Clara told him about the custody battle. Lucas listened without interrupting. "How much would a good lawyer cost?" he asked when she finished. "I don't know, more than I have." "Clara, let me help. I can have the best family lawyers in Atlanta working on this tomorrow. Lucas, I can't keep taking your money. It's not charity, it's love. Clara looked at him. Is it? Or is it guilt? What do you mean? You feel guilty because your world is making my life complicated, so you're trying to fix everything with money. Lucas was quiet for a long moment. Maybe you're right. But does it matter if it helps Jalen? Clara thought about her brother, scared and confused, waiting for her to save him. Okay, she said finally, but I'm paying you back. Every penny. Clara, I mean it, Lucas. I won't be your kept woman. Lucas nodded. I'll have my lawyer's contact. The family court in Atlanta tomorrow. That night, Clara lay in the unfamiliar bed and stared at the ceiling. Everything was happening so fast. A week ago, she was sleeping on park benches. Now she was living in a nice apartment and working for one of the most powerful men in Brazil. But she was also more confused than ever. She loved Lucas, but she didn't know if she could trust their relationship. Was he really in love with her, or was she just an interesting distraction from his privileged life? The next morning, Clara arrived at work determined to prove she belonged. There, she had spent the night studying Portuguese business terms online. Good morning, Clara, Lucas said when she got to her desk. Good morning, Mr. Varela. Lucas raised an eyebrow at the formal tone, but he didn't comment. Clara's second day went better than her first. She answered phones correctly and managed Lucas's calendar without major mistakes, but she could feel the other employees watching, her whispering about her. During lunch, Clara ate alone in the break room. Two women from accounting were talking at the next table. Did you see her clothes? One of them said. She's trying so hard to fit in. I heard she used to clean offices. Now she's sleeping her way to the top. Lucas will get tired of her soon. Men like him always do. Clara finished her sandwich and went back to work, but their words stung. That afternoon, Lucas had a meeting with his board of directors. Clara was supposed to take minutes, but when she walked into the conference room, the tension was obvious. Lucas, we need to discuss the situation with your assistant, said an older man with gray hair. What situation, Carlos? Lucas asked. The media attention. The speculation about your personal life, it's affecting the company's reputation. Our stock price has recovered, Lucas said calmly. For now. But Lucas, you must understand how this looks. A wealthy CEO and his working-class girlfriend. The press is having a field day. Clara felt her face burn. She wanted to disappear. Clara is my assistant, Lucas said firmly. Her personal background is irrelevant. Is it? Asked another board member. Because the newspapers are calling her your Cinderella story. They're making us look like a soap opera. Clara couldn't take it anymore. Excuse me, she said quietly, and left the room. She went to her desk and tried to work, but her hands were shaking. Everything the board members said was true. She was making Lucas's company look bad. When the meeting ended, Lucas came to her desk immediately. Clara, I'm sorry about that. They're right, though. I am hurting your reputation. I don't care about my reputation, but you should. Lucas, this is your life's work, your father's company. You can't throw it away for me. Lucas sat on the edge of her desk. What if I want to? Then you're crazy, Lucas smiled. Maybe I am. That evening, Lucas took Clara to dinner at an expensive restaurant. Clara felt out of place in her simple dress, while the other women wore designer gowns. You look beautiful, Lucas said. I look poor. You look like yourself. That's what I love about you. During dinner, Clara noticed people staring at their table. Some were taking pictures with their phones. We're quite the show, Clara said. Let them look. Lucas, doesn't this bother you? Being gossip material? The only thing that bothers me is seeing you upset. After dinner, they walked through the city center. São Paulo was beautiful at night with its bright lights and busy streets. Tell me about your dreams, Lucas said as they walked. What dreams? Before everything fell apart. What did you want your life to look like? Clara thought about it. I wanted to play piano at Carnegie Hall. I wanted to make music that moved people. You still could. Clara shook her head. That dream is over. I haven't practiced in months. My technique is probably gone. Skills can be rebuilt. Talent is forever. Easy for you to say. You never lost everything. Lucas stopped walking. Haven't I? Clara looked at him. What do you mean? My father wanted me to be exactly like him, ruthless in business, cold in relationships. For years, I tried to be that person, but it wasn't really living, it was just existing. And now I'm trying to figure out who I really am, with you. They reached Clara's apartment building. Lucas walked her to the door. "Clara," he said softly. "Yes, I know this is all complicated. I know my world is making things difficult for you, but please don't give up on us." Clara looked into his eyes. "I'm scared, Lucas. I'm scared of getting hurt again. I would never hurt you, not on purpose, but Lucas, we're from different worlds. Maybe that's too much to overcome." Lucas cupped her face in his hands. "Do you love me?" "Yes." "Then that's all that matters." He leaned down and kissed her. It was gentle and sweet and full of promise. When they broke apart, Clara felt dizzy. "I should go upstairs," she said. "Clara, wait. I have news about Jalen." Clara's heart jumped. "What news?" "My lawyers spoke to the family court in Atlanta. The custody hearing is next week." "Next week? But I'm not ready. I don't have money for a plane ticket." "That's already taken care of. You leave tomorrow night." Clara stared at him. "Tomorrow, but what about work?" "Family comes first, always." Clara felt tears in her eyes. "Lucas, I can't repay you for all this." "You don't have to." "Yes, I do. Somehow, someday I will." Lucas smiled. "I'm not worried about it." That night, Clara packed her few belongings. She was going home to fight for Jalen, but she was also leaving. Lucas behind. What if this was the end for them? What if the distance made him realize he was better off without her? Clara tried not to think about it. Right now, Jalen needed her. Everything else would have to wait. But as she fell asleep that night, Clara couldn't shake the feeling that she was about to lose the best thing that had ever happened to her. The next evening, Lucas drove Clara to the airport. They didn't talk much during the ride. There was too much to say and not enough time to say it. At the departure gate, Lucas hugged her tightly. "Win that custody battle," he said. "What if I lose?" "You won't. You're the strongest person I know. What happens to us while I'm gone?" Lucas looked into her eyes. "We trust each other. We remember what we have. And if the board forces you to choose between me and the company..." Lucas was quiet for a long moment. "Let's hope it doesn't come to that." Clara's flight was called. She kissed Lucas goodbye, trying to memorize the feel of his lips, the smell of his cologne. "I love you," she whispered. "I love you too, come back to me." Clara walked toward the gate, not looking back. She was afraid if she did, she would never be able to leave. On the plane, Clara looked out the window at Sao Paulo disappearing below her. Somewhere in that city was the man she loved, but she was flying toward the brother who needed her. Clara had never felt so torn between two loves in her life. In Atlanta, Jalen was waiting for her at the airport. He looked taller than she remembered, but his smile was the same. "Clara!" He ran to her and hugged her tight. "Hey, baby brother. I missed you so much. Are you back for good?" Clara's heart ached. "We'll see. First, we have to win this court case." The next few days were a whirlwind. Clara met with Lucas's lawyers, who were the best money could buy. They were confident about the case, but nothing was guaranteed. The night before the hearing, Clara couldn't sleep. She kept thinking about Lucas, wondering what he was doing, if he was thinking about her too. She had texted him a few times, but their conversations were brief. He was dealing with problems at work, and she was focused on Jalen. The distance between them felt bigger than just miles. At the custody hearing, Clara wore the only professional outfit she owned. Lucas's lawyers presented a strong case about her ability to care for Jalen, but the other side had arguments too. Clara's time in Brazil, her previous financial problems, her unemployment. The judge listened to both sides and said he would make his decision within a week. Clara left the courthouse feeling drained. She had done everything she could. Now she had to wait. That night, her phone rang. It was Lucas. "How did it go?" he asked. "I don't know. We have to wait for the judge's decision. I'm sure it will be fine." "Lucas, there's something I need to tell you. If I win custody of Jalen, I can't come back to Brazil right away. He needs stability. He needs to finish school here." Lucas was quiet. "Lucas, Are you there? I'm here. Clara, I understand. Jalen comes first. But what about us? We'll figure. Get out. But Clara could hear something different in his voice, distance, doubt. Is everything okay there? She asked. Just work problems, nothing I can't handle. But Clara had the feeling Lucas wasn't telling her everything. After they hung up, Clara stared at her phone. She loved Lucas, but she was starting to wonder if love was enough to bridge the gap between their worlds. A week later, the judge's decision came. Clara won custody of Jalen. She cried with relief and happiness. But when she called Lucas to tell him the good news, his phone went straight to voicemail. Clara left a message, then waited for him to call back. He didn't. For 3 days, Clara heard nothing from Lucas. She tried calling and texting but got no response. Finally, she saw a news report online. Varela Technologies announces major merger. Lucas was in the photos, shaking hands with investors, smiling for cameras. He looked happy. He looked like he had moved on. Clara felt her heart break. She had won Jalen, but lost Lucas. Maybe it was for the best. Maybe they really were too. Different. But as Clara looked at Jalen happy and safe in their small Atlanta apartment, she couldn't help wondering, what if she had made the wrong choice? 2 months passed in Atlanta. Clara found a job at a music store teaching piano lessons to children. It wasn't Carnegie Hall, but it felt good to make music again. Jalen was doing well in school and seemed happy to have her back, but Clara felt empty inside. She missed Lucas every day. She had stopped trying to call him after the first week of silence. Clearly, he had decided their relationship was too complicated. Maybe his board had finally convinced him she wasn't worth the trouble. Clara tried to move on. She dated a nice teacher from Jalen's school. He was kind and stable and uncomplicated. Everything Lucas wasn't. But when he kissed her goodnight after their 3rd date, Clara felt nothing. "I'm sorry," she told him. "I'm just not ready for this." "It's okay," he said gently. "Whoever he is, he's a lucky man." Clara wished that were true. One evening, Clara was helping Jalen with homework when her phone rang. It was Marina, Lucas's assistant in Sao Paulo. "Clara, it's Marina from Varela Technologies." Clara's heart jumped. "Is Lucas okay?" It's complicated. Clara, I think you should know what's been happening here." "What do you mean?" Marina sighed. "After you left, the board gave Lucas an ultimatum. Drop the relationship with you or lose the company." Clara felt sick. "And?" "He chose the company." "But Clara, he's been miserable. He barely eats, barely sleeps. He throws himself into work, but everyone can see he's heartbroken." "Then why didn't he call me?" "Because he thinks he's protecting you." "He thinks you're better off without him." Clara closed her eyes. "Marina, why are you telling me this?" "Because I was wrong about you. I thought you were just using him for money, but I've watched him these past 2 months. He loves you, Clara. Really loves you." After they hung up, Clara sat in her living room and cried. Lucas had given her up to save his company. He had made the choice she was too afraid to make. But knowing the truth didn't make it hurt less. The next morning, Clara was at the music store when a customer walked in, an older black woman with kind eyes and expensive clothes. "Are you Clara Jennings?" the woman asked. "Yes. Can I help you?" "I'm Margaret Varela, Lucas's mother." Clara nearly dropped the sheet music she was holding. "Mrs. Varela, what are you doing here?" "I came to meet the woman who broke my son's heart." Clara felt defensive. "I didn't break his heart. He chose to end things." "Did he? Or did you both choose to run away instead of fighting for what you had?" Margaret sat down at one of the piano benches. "Mrs. Varela, I don't understand. Why are you here?" "Because my son is dying inside, and I think you might be the only one who can save him. He made his choice. He chose the company over me." Margaret smiled sadly. "Clara, do you know anything about Lucas's father?" "A little. Lucas said he was cold, focused only on business. Roberto Varela was a brilliant businessman and a terrible father. He taught Lucas that love was weakness, that caring about people would destroy everything he worked for." Clara sat down across from Margaret. "When Lucas met you, it was the first time I saw him really happy," Margaret continued. For 30 years, I watched my son try to be his father. But with you, he became himself. Then why did he give me up? Because he's scared. Roberto died believing that love destroyed his marriage, his relationship with his son, his happiness. Lucas is terrified of becoming his father, but he's also terrified of losing what his father built. Clara felt tears in her eyes. It doesn't matter now. Too much time has passed, has it? Clara, Lucas doesn't know I'm here, but yesterday he told me he's thinking of selling the company. What? He says he can't do it anymore. That building his father's empire cost him the only thing he ever really wanted. Clara stared at Margaret. He's going to sell Varela Technologies? Unless someone gives him a reason to fight for both the company and love. Margaret stood up and handed Clara an envelope. What's this? A plane ticket to São Paulo and an invitation to the shareholders' meeting tomorrow night. Lucas is going to announce his decision about the company's future. Clara looked at the ticket. Mrs. Varela, I can't. I have Jalen to think about. I have responsibilities here. Clara, can I ask you something? Yes. Do you love my son? Clara's voice broke. More than anything. Then come fight for him. Come show him that love doesn't have to be a choice between happiness and success. That night, Clara stared at the plane ticket for hours. She wanted to go to Lucas more than anything, but leaving Jalen again felt impossible. Clara? Jalen appeared in the doorway. You okay? Come here, baby. Jalen sat next to her on the couch. Jalen, I need to ask you something, and I need you to be honest with me. Okay. How would you feel if I went back to Brazil for a few days? To see Lucas? Clara was surprised. How do you know about Lucas? Aunt Linda told me. She said you fell in love with a rich guy in Brazil. Are you mad at me? Jalen thought about it. Are you happy when you're with him? Very happy. Then you should go. Clara, you took care of me my whole life. Maybe it's time someone took care of you. Clara hugged her brother tight. I love you so much. I love you too. And Clara, go get your man. The next evening, Clara was on a plane to São Paulo. She had no idea what she was going to say to Lucas. She just knew she had to try. The flight felt endless. Clara kept imagining different scenarios. What if Lucas was angry with her for showing up? What if he really had moved on? What if she was too late? Clara arrived in São Paulo the morning of the shareholders' meeting. She went straight to her old apartment, which Margaret had arranged for her to use. Clara spent the day getting ready. She bought a simple but elegant black dress. She wanted to look good, but she also wanted to look like herself. At 6 p.m., Clara arrived at the Varela Technologies building. The shareholders' meeting was being held in the main conference room. Clara could see through the glass doors that the room was packed with important-looking people. Lucas was at the front of the room wearing a dark suit. He looked thinner than Clara remembered, and there were shadows under his eyes. Clara's heart ached seeing him. She slipped into the back of the room just as Lucas began to speak. Thank you all for coming tonight, Lucas said. I know you're expecting me to announce the details of our latest merger, but I have a different announcement to make. The room was completely silent. For the past 2 months, I've been trying to run this company the way my father did, focused only on profit, caring only about success, but I've realized something. A company without heart is just numbers on a spreadsheet. Clara saw several board members exchange worried looks. My father built Varela Technologies into an empire, Lucas continued. But he died alone and unhappy. I don't want to make the same mistake. Lucas paused and looked out at the crowd. Clara wondered if he could see her in the back. 2 months ago, this board asked me to choose between the woman I love and this company. I chose the company. It was the biggest mistake of my life. Clara felt tears in her eyes. So tonight I'm making a different choice. I'm choosing love. I'm choosing happiness. I'm choosing to be the kind of man who fights for what matters. Carlos, the board member who had opposed Clara, stood up. Lucas, what exactly are you saying? I'm saying that if this board cannot accept that I have a personal life, then perhaps I'm not the right person to lead this company. The room erupted in surprised murmurs. Lucas, Carlos said, be reasonable. You can't throw away everything. Your father built for some woman. Her name is Clara Jennings, Lucas said firmly. And she's not some woman. She's the woman I want to marry, Clara gasped. Around her, people turned to see her reaction. If she'll have me, Lucas added, looking directly at Clara. The room followed his gaze. Clara felt everyone staring at her, but she only saw Lucas. Slowly, Clara walked through the crowd toward the front of the room. People moved aside to let her pass. When she reached Lucas, he stepped down from the podium. "You came," he said softly. "I didn't think you'd want me to." "Clara, I've wanted you every day for 2 months. Then why didn't you call me?" "Because I thought I was protecting you. I thought you deserved better than a man who was too scared to fight for love." Clara reached up and touched his face. "I don't want better. I want you." Lucas pulled her into his arms and kissed her. Behind them, the shareholders' meeting erupted in chaos, but Clara didn't care. When they broke apart, Lucas turned back to the crowd. "I'm not selling the company," he announced. "But things are going to change around here. We're going to run Varela. Technologies with both profit and heart. Anyone who can't accept that is welcome to leave." Most of the board members looked uncomfortable, but they stayed in their seats. Carlos stood up and walked out. "Good," Lucas said. "Now, if you'll excuse me, I have something more important to attend to." Lucas took Clara's hand and led her out of the conference room. They took the elevator to his office. "Lucas, what you just did, you could lose everything. I already lost everything when I lost you. But the company will survive. Clara, I spent 2 months trying to be my father. I was miserable. I want to be myself. I want to be with you." Clara felt tears streaming down her face. "I love you so much. Marry me." "What?" Lucas got down on one knee right there in his office. He pulled out a small velvet box. "Clara Jennings, will you marry me?" Clara stared at the ring. It was beautiful but not ostentatious. Perfect for her. "Lucas, what about Jalen? I can't leave him again. We'll bring him here. He can go to the American school. We'll be a family." "What about your world? The social events, the business dinners?" "I don't know how to be the wife of a CEO. You don't have to be anything other than yourself. That's all I've ever wanted." Clara looked into Lucas's eyes and saw nothing but love and honesty. "Yes," she whispered. "Yes. Yes. I'll marry you." Lucas slipped the ring onto her finger and stood up to kiss her. 6 months later, Clara and Lucas were married in a small ceremony in Atlanta. Jalen walked Clara down the aisle. Margaret cried through the entire service. Lucas had been true to his word. He brought Clara and Jalen to São Paulo, where Jalen enrolled in the international school and quickly made friends. Clara started working at a music school, teaching piano to underprivileged children. It was work that gave her purpose and joy. Lucas transformed Varela Technologies into a company that cared about its employees and its community. The stock price actually went up. On their first wedding anniversary, Lucas surprised Clara by taking her back to the small park where they had met. The bench was still there under the same tree. "Do you remember the first morning you found flowers here?" Lucas asked as they sat down. "How could I forget? I thought you were crazy. I was crazy. Crazy in love." Lucas pulled out a small bouquet. "White gardenias and sunflowers, just like that first morning." "I have something to tell you," Clara said, taking the flowers. "What is it?" Clara smiled. "We're going to have a baby." Lucas stared at her for a moment, then picked her up and spun. "Her around, really? Really? A baby?" Lucas said, his voice full of wonder. "Are you happy?" "Clara, I've never been happier in my life." They sat on the bench, Clara's head on Lucas's shoulder, watching the sun set over São Paulo. "Do you ever regret it?" Clara asked. "Giving up the life you had before?" "Never, Clara, you saved me. You taught me what it means to really live. You saved me, too." Lucas kissed the top of her head. "We saved each other." 3 months later, Clara was walking through the same park with their newborn daughter in her arms. The baby had Lucas's dark eyes and Clara's smile. Clara sat on their bench and opened the book she was carrying, The Alchemist, the same book Lucas had left for her all those months ago. Once upon a time, Clara read softly to her daughter. There was a boy who dreamed of traveling the world. As Clara read, she thought about dreams and how sometimes they changed. She had dreamed of playing Carnegie Hall. Instead, she found something better. She found love, family, and a home. Sometimes the best dreams were the ones you never knew you had. Clara. She looked up. Lucas was walking toward her, smiling. I thought I might find you here, he said. We were just reading. Lucas sat down next to them and looked at their daughter sleeping peacefully. What were you reading about? Dreams, and how sometimes they come true in ways you least expect. Lucas put his arm around Clara and their baby. I love you. I love you too. They sat together in comfortable silence, watching the world go by around them. The park was busy with office workers on their lunch breaks, just like it had been the day they met. But for Clara and Lucas, time seemed to stand still. They had found their forever in this simple moment, a family, a bench, and a love that had overcome every obstacle in its path. Clara thought about the scared, lonely woman who had fallen asleep on this bench over a year ago. She had been running from her past, unsure of her future. Now she knew that sometimes you had to get lost before you could find your way home. And home wasn't a place. It was the person who saw you at your worst and loved you anyway. It was the person who brought you flowers on your darkest day and never stopped believing in your dreams. What are you thinking about? Lucas asked. Just how grateful I am. For all of it. Even the hard parts. The hard parts? They led me to you. Lucas kissed her forehead. They led us to each other. Their daughter stirred in Clara's arms and opened her eyes. She looked up at her parents with curiosity and wonder. Hello, beautiful girl, Clara whispered. Welcome to the world. The baby yawned and closed her eyes again, safe in her mother's arms. Dinos. Clara looked around the park one more time. This place had been her refuge when she had nothing. Now it was where she came to celebrate everything she had gained. Love had a funny way of finding you when you least expected it, and when it did, it changed everything. Clara Jennings had come to Brazil looking for a fresh start. Instead, she found her destiny. And as the afternoon sun filtered through the trees, casting dancing shadows on the bench where it all began, Clara knew that this was just the beginning of their story. The best chapters were still to come. 5 years later, Clara stood at the window of the Varela Technologies building, watching the city of São Paulo spread out below her. In her arms, their 3-year-old daughter Sophia played with a toy piano. Mama play music? Sophia asked in her mix of English and Portuguese. Later, baby. Right now we're waiting for Daddy. The door to Lucas's office opened and Jalen walked out. He was 21 now, tall and confident, wearing a business suit. He had just finished his internship at Varela Technologies and would be starting his own job at a non-profit organization next month. How did the meeting go? Clara asked her brother. Great, Lucas says I'm ready to change the world. Jalen grinned. Just like my big sister did. Lucas appeared behind Jalen, loosening his tie. Ready to go home? Always, Clara said, kissing her husband. They took the elevator down to the parking garage. As they walked to their car, Sophia pointed at something. Look, Mama, flowers! Clara turned to see a young woman sitting on a bench in the small plaza next to the building. She looked tired and sad, staring at a bouquet of wilted flowers in her lap. Clara felt her heart tug. The woman reminded her of herself 5 years ago. Lucas, can you take Sophia to the car? I'll be right there. Clara walked over to the bench and sat down next to the young woman. Are you okay? Clara asked gently. The woman looked up, surprised. She had been crying. I'm sorry, the woman said in accented English. I don't mean to bother anyone. You're not bothering me. I'm Clara. What's your name? Anna, I'm from Venezuela. Clara's heart ached. Another young woman far from home, struggling to survive. Anna, I know this might sound strange, but are you looking for work? Anna nodded eagerly. Yes, anything. I have a work permit, but it's hard to find someone who will hire me. Clara smiled. I might know someone. Are you good with children? I love children. I was a teacher back home. Perfect. My friend Margaret runs a foundation that helps immigrant families. They need teachers for their children's programs. Clara pulled out her phone and called Margaret. Margaret, it's Clara. I have someone I'd like you to meet. 20 minutes later, Margaret arrived in her car. Clara introduced her to Anna and watched. As the older woman's face lit up with understanding, Clara, Margaret said quietly, she reminds me of someone. I know, Margaret turned to Anna. Would you like to come with me? I think we can help each other. As Anna got into Margaret's car, she turned back to Clara. Why are you helping me? You don't even know me. Clara smiled. Because someone once helped me when I needed it most. Now it's my turn to pass it on. After they drove away, Clara walked back to Lucas and their family. Who was that? Lucas asked. Someone who needed flowers on a dark day. Lucas understood immediately. He pulled Clara close and kissed her forehead. I love you, he said. I love you too. As they drove home through the busy streets of São Paulo, Clara thought about the circle of life. 5 years ago, she had been lost and alone, sleeping on park benches. Today, she was helping someone else find their way. That evening, Clara sat at the piano in their living room, playing a lullaby for Sophia. Jalen was on the couch reading, and Lucas was answering emails on his laptop. It was an ordinary Tuesday night, but to Clara it was perfect. Her phone buzzed with a text message from Margaret. Anna got the job, thank you for seeing her. Love finds a way to multiply itself, doesn't it? Clara smiled and typed back, always. She looked around at her family. Her husband who had taught her to trust love again, her brother who had grown into a wonderful man, her daughter who filled their home with laughter. Clara's fingers moved across the piano keys, playing the melody. That had been in her heart since the day she first met Lucas. It was a song about finding home in unexpected places, about love that overcame every obstacle. Someday she would play this song at Carnegie Hall, but even if she never did, it didn't matter. She had already found her greatest audience, the family that loved her just as she was. Outside their window, São Paulo continued its busy rhythm. Somewhere in the city, Anna was starting her new life just as Clara had started hers 5 years ago. Love had a way of spreading from person to person like flowers blooming in spring. And Clara knew that their story, hers and Lucas's, was just one of many love stories waiting to unfold in this big, beautiful city. The best love stories weren't found in fairy tales. They were found in real life, between real people who chose each other every single day. And they all started the same way, with someone brave enough to leave flowers for a stranger who needed hope. As Clara played the final notes of her song, Lucas looked up from his laptop and smiled at her. After all these years, he still looked at her like she was the most beautiful woman in the world, and Clara still felt like the luckiest woman alive. The end.